Good evening, it's meteorologist Michael Fecka. Welcome back to the 9 p.m. all-weather, all-streaming show that we do here every night during the workdays and on weekends. We stream it out to all of our streaming platforms as well as to Facebook Live. So if you are joining us from Facebook or even YouTube Live, please feel free to leave a question or a comment down below. Hopefully I'll be able to address it as I go through the forecast, but if not, I'll go through at the very end and see if I can answer anything individually for you. So let's get started with a look at our headlines. And top in the headlines here is that heat and humidity. It started to pick up yesterday. We topped out in the lower 90s. Today, again, in the mid 90s for some locations with those heat index values closer to 100. Now, tomorrow through Tuesday is when we're expecting kind of the worst of this heat to move in. That's when we're expecting temperatures to possibly top out in the mid to upper 90s with heat index values of up to 105 or even greater possible Sunday, Monday, and on Tuesday. After that heat wave moves through, we'll have a cold front move in by the middle of next week for Wednesday into Thursday. That will bring our temperatures back down to around average for the end of next week and bring us some better chances for some scattered showers and thunderstorms by the middle of the work week. But looking at our satellite and radar right now, it's all quiet here in the tri-state. A lot of the action currently is farther off to our north through northern and central Indiana. They're seeing some rounds of showers and storms move through, which some may actually be able to make it down into the tri-state overnight tonight. However, all of the models do continue to have it weakening and drying out before it really reaches our area. So it is possible that we see a few sprinkles overnight, but I'm not really thinking it's going to be very widespread. But looking at our temperatures from earlier today, we topped out at around 96 degrees here in Evansville, Paducah, and even down towards Bowling Green. 92 to our north in Indianapolis, and around 95, or 98, excuse me, out towards St. Louis. And we've cooled down a good bit since then, over 10 degrees. 84 now here in Evansville, Grayville, and Newburgh. 78 in Henderson and Madisonville. Still around 90 down towards Greenville. So it's a very mild night tonight. Temperatures will only drop down into the low to mid 70s. Mostly clear skies, perhaps a sprinkle or two if we see some of those showers make it far enough south. However, I really do think we'll stay mostly dry. And then as we go into tomorrow, we'll see a very similar setup. We'll start off, fairly dry through the first half of the day. And then we've got that chance for a few more pop-ups during the afternoon hours. So I can show you what that looks like here on our future radar. So here's a look at tonight. This model still wants to bring in a few of those decaying showers into portions or northern portions of the viewing area up towards Washington and Vincennes, but kind of dissipates it before it even touches I-69. And then it wants to bring in another few showers through very early Sunday morning, but again, not really expecting that to really make it much farther south into the tri-state than north of I-69, or excuse me, I-64. But then we'll stay quiet for a good chunk of the day, and then as we get into the afternoon, that's where we have the chance for, again, a few more pop-ups, but most of us will stay dry. Most importantly is it's just going to be hot and humid out there, so you definitely want to be making sure you're taking care of yourself, your family, and your friends, and of course any other groups that are sensitive to this heat, because it is going to feel very, very hot. 105 to 107 Sunday through Tuesday. That puts us up into that danger zone where we are starting to get more concerned with heat-related illnesses at these temperatures. And, heat stroke, sunstroke, heat cramps, and heat exhaustion are all likely, but heat stroke is still possible, especially with any prolonged exposure or physical activity outdoors. So you want to reduce that as much as you can. I know it's unavoidable. Some people have to work outside, but here's just some safety tips for you. We run through them every time we have a big heat wave here in the tri-state, because heat is actually the #1 killer of Americans in weather-related fatalities. So we always take it very seriously here. You want to make sure you're reducing, rescheduling your strenuous activities to a cooler time of day. So if you're a daily walker, you definitely want to get that out of the way before 10 a.m. or generally after 7 p.m. Those are the coolest times of day. And if you're going to be outside, you want to wear lightweight, light-colored clothing, helping to reflect that heat and sunlight away from your body. And of course, no brainer, you want to be drinking plenty of water or any fluids, preferably non-alcoholic. And then if you're going to be out in the sun, make sure you're wearing your sunscreen. If you get sunburned, it makes it a little bit harder for your body to cool down. So those are just some safety tips for you. Looking at our rain chances through the rest of this weekend, again, we have that spotty chance for a few showers through tomorrow, and then we start to see better chances arrive for the middle of next week, and that's going to be along the leading edge of that cold front. And that cold front is actually going to cool us down for once. A lot of the times in the summer months, we get cold fronts that move through, but they don't really cool us down. They just bring us some rain. But this time, we are going to see some relief from it. We'll be topping out at around 98 on Monday. That's 10 degrees above average, and then we'll be back down to right around average by Thursday and Friday, topping out in the upper 80s. Now, the humidity doesn't really change all that much. It does go down a little bit. It does start to become a little bit more pleasant, possibly by the time we get into next weekend. However, during the work week, it's still going to feel pretty muggy and pretty stifling, especially through the first half of it during that heat advisory. So that is kind of why we're seeing those heat index values spike so high. But here's a look at your 7-day forecast. I just want to do a quick wrap up here, and then I want to talk about the tropics because we've got some big news down there as well. I'm sure many of you heard. But looking at your 7-day on alert here through Tuesday, again, topping out in the upper 90s for the first half of the work week. Cold front on Wednesday. That will bring us some relief from those higher temperatures and bring us some scattered showers and storms. And it looks like we may be starting out dry for next weekend as well. We've gotten very lucky here with these sunny, dry weekends. So hopefully we can keep this trend going through the end of the year. That would be nice, right? But on down to the tropical Atlantic now. Big news. I'm sure you heard it. We showed this last night, and if you remember correctly or you were here last night, this was just a Category 1 hurricane at 9 o'clock last night. 75-mile-per-hour winds sustained, and overnight, in a little more than 24 hours, it strengthened all the way up to a Category 5 hurricane with wind speeds of 155 miles per hour sustained. So that is just blowing rapid intensification out of the park here with our first hurricane of the season. So this particular storm, Erin, it's got current wind speeds of 150 miles per hour, so a strong Category 4, and its movement is currently west at around 15 miles per hour. It's sitting just to the northeast of San Juan, Puerto Rico right now, and its track is expected to take that away from the islands, away from the Bahamas, and kind of sliding it right in between Bermuda and the East Coast. So not expected to make any landfall here or in any surrounding areas, which is great news, but it is still expected to maintain its Category 4 or 5 strength through the beginning of the work week. Tuesday, as it's nearing Bermuda, still a Category 4 storm at 140 miles per hour. And then it'll continue to weaken as it gets pushed out into the North Atlantic. So that is the latest with Erin. And looking at our tropical outlook here, no surprise, pretty much the entire Atlantic basin, the tropical basin, is outlined here for tropical activity. More so right off the coast of Africa there. That's where we get a lot of those waves that start off as these broad areas of low pressure that once they hit that warm ocean water in those favorable environments, they turn into these tropical storms. So that's where a lot of our storms come from, at least during the peak of hurricane season. That's where Erin started out as a little wave crossing the Atlantic Ocean, and now is a Category 4 hurricane. So that is kind of the latest with the tropics. And then again, there's a look at your 7-day forecast. I'm going to go ahead and look at your comments, see if you guys have any questions for me. Looks like Jeanette says good evening. Good evening to you too. Watching from Dawson Springs says Laura Gray. Laura Gray. I'm glad you're here. Dan Lees says he's ready for a cool down, and Laura agrees with him. Cheyenne says good evening. Good evening to you. And Ricky's also ready for that cooler weather, and so is Teresa. So looks like we're all just excited for it to cool down here, but you know, it's still summertime. You got to appreciate the summer heat when it's in season. You know, when it's not in season, then we can kind of forget about it. But you know, we still got the rest of the month of August to go here. So not really expecting summer to go away anytime soon, but we will still see at least some relief from this heat by the middle of next week. So that is our cool down that we are awaiting. But otherwise, it's just going to be pretty hot with maybe a stray shower or a storm through the rest of this weekend. So I'm going to hop off the live stream. I'll send you guys over to 14 News at 10 for all the latest news and weather headlines. Until then, everybody, have a great rest of your night and stay safe.